Trinidad and Tobago Soca Warriors arrived in Kingston on Wednesday morning for their two friendly matches against Jamaica's Reggae Boys. The first game will be played on Saturday at the Montego Bay Sports Complex at Catherine Hall, while the second is set for the National Stadium in Kingston on Tuesday, March 14. Both Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago are preparing for CONCACAF Nations League action later this month. And the TNT head coach, Angus Eve, says these two friendlies are significant for his team's preparation.
Significant in the standpoint, from the standpoint of giving our locally based players primarily the opportunity for much needed international match practice, so that we can have the opportunity to see them against high opposition like this in going into to be selected for the Nation League last round. So unless you play to this kind of level, no games are really friendlies anymore. Each team wants to see what the players will do and react in a situation like this. So there's a good opportunity for we have a very young squad, and when I say young, meaning by wear caps, so there's a good opportunity for them to show themselves against good opposition.
Experienced goalkeeper Marvin Phillip also emphasized the importance of the two friendlies, especially for the locally based players.
It's very important for us. We haven't been active for quite a while in our local league, so it gave the local guys, the opportunity to vie for a spot in the upcoming Nations League at the end of this month. Definitely, we know Jamaica is a rivalry between Trinidad and Jamaica, so we just want to go out there and give a good account of ourselves, and hopefully we will come out victorious after the two games.
All right, so team Trinidad and Tobago, the Soca Warriors, they've landed in Jamaica, getting ready, of course, for these friendly matches. And as you heard from Coach, it is an opportunity for him to get to see where his players are at. As we all know, we've spoken about it on this show many times, Trinidad and Tobago football had been under some pressure for some time, if I'm to say that. There wasn't any activity, any competitions and whatnot. So I know they'll be grasping this opportunity with both hands, and who better to play than Jamaica?
Yeah, very much so. They did have a match against St. Martin on the 29th of January, which they won, but you would think that this Jamaica test would be a step up. Very important in their build-up to the Nations League, because they play Bahamas on the 23rd of March. An important game because at this stage they are sitting second in their group of the Nations League level B.
Yeah.
And they have Nicaragua following that on the 27th. Now, it's quite likely that they will go into that game against Nicaragua on the 27th behind on points, and will need to win if they are to top the group and advance to level A of the CONCACAF Nations League. And a match like this, or matches like this, can only be good preparation for them to see exactly where they are, and for them to have a week or so to really work on those things and get ready for those important Nations League matches.
Lance, and we heard from Angus Eve, no stranger to our Sportsmax team, speaking about the importance. He stressed on the youth of the team. He spoke about the caps, the experience of the players. So how important is it that, these players get into action and he knows where he stands with them?
Yeah, well, I think that Jobin Jones, an MLS player, is probably the most high-profile player in this current TNT setup coming for these friendlies. And it's a building process for Angus Eve and his Trinidad and Tobago team, because for years, as you mentioned, Mariah, they've been struggling. They are currently ranked 104 in FIFA's rankings list, which is not like Trinidad and Tobago. They have been accustomed to much higher rankings than those. And I think all time they have ranked about 26th as their all-time highest ranking position. And they have not had a ranking position inside the top 100 of FIFA in about 4 years almost. So these are very difficult times for TNT. I see the Wired 868 News the website, which isn't a huge fan of the current national setup, headlining that Jamaica named 7 teenagers in their roster to face Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not sure why they put that headline out there. I think it's probably just running the narrative that the Jamaicans aren't necessarily going into this this fixture with a high-powered lineup. So if TNT aren't able to do well against them, then it would suggest that TNT are, as we know, are struggling at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's an important fixture for both teams, and the rivalry between TNT and Jamaica for decades has been strong in international football. And I think Eve wants to build a base for this young squad and develop them into something more potent in the years to come.
I just want to add that these 7 Jamaican teenagers are attached to EPL clubs such as Chelsea, FC and whatnot.
Yes.
So just to say teenagers, they are very special teenagers, if I'm to mention. And I don't think that we should take that term very lightly.
Yeah, and I think very importantly as well, there needs to be the understanding that these Jamaican players will be driven. There's an important match coming up on the 23rd Nations League game against Mexico. Now, Jamaica leading their group, but of course the winner plays the semi-final playoff as they look to win the Nations League. But they have to beat Mexico if they're going to get there, because Mexico will have Suriname and will fully expect to get the better of Suriname. So if the Jamaicans are unable to beat the Mexicans on the 23rd, so all the players, I think, will be looking to impress the new coach Hal Grimson, in these 2 fixtures, and it's a fabulous opportunity for them to do it. So I don't think the Trinidad and Tobago team will get anything easy, whether it's in Montego Bay or in Kingston. It's going to be hot.
I agree, and remember, Jamaica will be at home, and it's the first time team that, of course, the Jamaican fans will get to see a Hal Grimson coached Jamaica Reggae Boys. So that's another incentive. And if I'm to speak as a Trini living in Jamaica, the Jamaican fans are very passionate about football and their footballers. So, yeah, the fans are also going to be cheering on a lot. Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, and I get the impression as well that Dejon Whisper Richards is going to be a big draw. Of course, I think Hal Grimson has done a really smart thing to draft him into the setup. He's spoken about it not mattering your age, whether you are Adrian Mariappa at 35 years old or you're a 17-year-old, 18-year-old like Dejon Whisper Richards. And I think he's been really smart in ensuring that this youngster gets a chance in the setup. Of course, we've had several discussions about him and whether he should be around the setup, and clearly the new coach thinks, one, he is good enough to be there, but I think from the standpoint of a support perspective, it was also a smart move, because I think the Jamaican fans will go out to see this youngster hopefully play in national colours.
Yeah, they love Whisper. And, you know, speaking about youngsters, the Trinidad and Tobago side has 2 youngsters as well that I'm looking forward to see personally. Nathaniel James as well as Kele Aubrey. Kele Aubrey comes from Kansas City, Sporting Kansas City, and I feel as if, you know, he will be a great addition to the Trinidad and Tobago setup. So I want to see as well, I will be paying attention to these 2 youngsters where the future of Trinidad and Tobago football is concerned. So, you know, I'm looking forward. I will be hopefully at the second match on Tuesday once everything goes to plan. And, you know, it's going to be, for me, it's going to be an exciting match because I'm Trini. I really love Jamaica.
Yes.
You know, but when Trinidad goes up against Jamaica in football,
yes,
yeah, there's a problem.
There is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish you luck.
Yeah, I would give some stats on the Jamaica versus Trinidad matchup, but I don't want the producers to change the Just the Facts questions just because they realize that I'm well prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, no, don't do that. All right, so we're going to continue. In the meantime, Coach Eve has heaped praise on the Normalization Committee, which has been managing the sport in the Twin Island Republic since March 2020. Just last week, the Robert Haddad-led body was given a second one-year extension by football's world governing body FIFA to ensure that its mandate is completed. There have been naysayers, but Eve has backed the committee, saying it has contributed significantly to the team's preparations for this month's crucial set of fixtures.
The normalization have actually been good for us from a standpoint of they who is the ones who gain these games for us, you know, and they see the value when I went to them with the plan to get some much needed match practice for the locally based players. We went and we got the St. Martin game, and then we get these 2 games. So there's 3 matches for these guys to have the opportunity to show themselves. You know, so I have to say the normalization committee is heading in the right direction. There was a lot of teething problems at the beginning with them, but I think now that they have been on board for a while and they settle in, I think the problem really stems from just outside of the normalization committee. I think if we come together as a country and work together, I think we'll get way more done than we're getting now because of the little friction that it have between the organization committee and the membership.
Do you see that being resolved anytime soon?
I hope so. You know, I hope so. You know, football has to win at the end of the day. You know, football has to win, and I see the cooperation between the Jamaican clubs and the new coach and all the other stuff that I'm seeing, and I hope that we could do that back home. So, and if we do that and settle down, I think, you know, the sky's the limit for these kids, really.
All right, so Angus Eve has given the green light where the normalization committee is concerned. And team, as a coach, when you're in that position, of course, all you really want is to be able to get your team to play football and to get good results. So once Angus Eve is getting the practice matches that he wants and he's, you know, able to get the players that he wants, he'll be happy.
Yeah, without a doubt. The one thing I will say from what Angus Eve just said is that a lot of things that he pointed out in terms of getting the practice matches and so on, the friendly internationals, that is what the normalization committee is there for. That is what anybody that is running the sport in any country is there to do. So for me, that's basic and pretty much the bare minimum. But yes, it is still important that they have gotten it done, because we've heard on many of occasions different federations across the Caribbean not being able to fulfill some of the most basic expectations in preparation for tournaments. So that's very good. The other thing that struck me from a lot of what Angus has been saying, not just in the interview that he had with our producer Brian Pitter today, but in the build-up to this, is how impressed he seems with everything that is happening in Jamaica at this stage, because he points out about how Jamaica has been getting sponsorship, how they've had regular football going on in the country, a new coach, getting a number of players from overseas, and he seems very impressed, almost suggesting that they come into the games as massive underdogs and the Jamaicans are the ones under the pressure having the favourite stag.
Yeah, and you have to understand his position, because a lot of both teams are putting players out that are domestic players in the domestic leagues. And if it is that Trinidad and Tobago's domestic football has been dormant for so long, and the Jamaican game has been active for the past couple of seasons, then obviously Angus Eve will feel that he is hamstrung by the fact that there isn't any domestic football in TNT.
Well, Jamaica versus Trinidad and Tobago, it's tipped to be extremely mouth-watering. We go to break, we'll be right back. Stay with Sportsmax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.